Ah, The Mummy. Equal parts ancient wonder, cinematic cliche, and the original reason you double-check your linen closet at night. Today on Darker Things, we're unraveling, literally, the story behind the mummy. How they came to be, why Victorians snorted them like cocaine, and how Hollywood made them walk funny for 100 years. Grab your bandages, it's about to get wrapped. Let's start where all good horror stories begin, with people refusing to accept death like reasonable adults. Around 2600 BCE, the ancient Egyptians decided they wanted to take everything with them into the afterlife. Gold, cats, snacks, even the occasional servant. Sorry, Kevin. But the human body had a nasty habit of decomposing, so they turned death prep into a full-time profession. First came the natural mummies, bodies buried in hot desert sand, dried out faster than a bag of beef jerky. That gave the Egyptians an idea. What if we could do this on purpose? Remove the organs, except the heart, because that was the Wi-Fi password to the afterlife. Store the rest in canopic jars, which sound cute until you realize one's full of kidneys. Soak the body in natron, a kind of salty mineral that sucked out moisture like corporate HR sucks out joy. Wrap the whole thing in linen, say a few prayers, and voila, eternal preservation. It was practical, spiritual, and surprisingly hygienic. To the Egyptians, it wasn't creepy, it was respectful. Death was just a really long vacation, and mummification was the TSA checkpoint. Of course, Egypt wasn't the only culture with a hoarder's relationship to corpses. The Chinchorro people of Chile were mummifying their dead over 2,000 years before the pyramids. In China, they found Lady Di, a mummy so well preserved her skin still thanks for watching Darker Things. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient vanity projects, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more wrapped up for you. And remember, death might be eternal, but so is the algorithm. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay out of any tombs labeled "Do Not Enter." See you in the next one, Flexed. And in the Andes, the Inca left mummified children on mountain peaks as sacrifices, which is less Hallmark and more Frozen 2 Afterlife edition. But Egypt owned the brand. Nobody did the afterlife with more flair, pageantry, or eyeliner. Pharaohs were buried with everything they'd ever need. Food, furniture, gold, and an alarming number of cats who did not sign up for this. When the pyramids fell into ruin, the mummies stayed put, waiting centuries for the weirdest cultural comeback in history. Fast forward to the 19th century, and European explorers were in full Raiders of the Lost Morals mode. They dug up mummies, shipped them home, and then, and this is true, sold them as medicine. Yes, ground-up mummy powder called mumia was used in Europe for centuries. People thought eating ancient corpses cured everything from headaches to bad vibes. Spoiler, it didn't. It just made you the creepiest dinner guest imaginable. And because Victorian England loved nothing more than pretending to be sophisticated while doing absolutely insane things, they held mummy unwrapping parties. Rich people gathered in drawing rooms while a professor slowly undressed a 3,000-year-old corpse like it was a burlesque act sponsored by the British Museum. If that sounds tasteless, it's because it was. But these archaeological spectacles fueled fascination and eventually fear. Because you can't just disturb the dead for party tricks and expect no consequences, right? Thanks for watching Darker Things. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient vanity projects, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more wrapped up for you. And remember, death might be eternal, but so is the algorithm. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay out of any tombs labeled "Do Not Enter." See you in the next one. Enter 1932, Universal Pictures, and Boris Karloff wrapped tighter than a Chipotle burrito. The Mummy introduced Imhotep, a priest cursed for forbidden love, accidentally resurrected, and now shambling around looking for his lost girlfriend. It was gothic horror with a desert tan, and audiences ate it up. Karloff's slow-dragging walk, that became the mummy template. Even though real mummies didn't walk, groan, or strangle people with gauze, they were just lying there, quietly decomposing at their own pace. But hey, reality never made money at the box office. Then came Hammer horror in the 1950s and 60s. Bloodier, sexier, and way more British. The Mummy stopped being tragic and became the undead equivalent of a jealous ex, vengeful, unstoppable, and very bad at doorways. By the late 20th century, we got everything from Brendan Fraser's swashbuckling The Mummy to Tom Cruise's attempt to reboot a cinematic universe nobody asked for. Turns out mummies age better than movie franchises. So, why do we keep resurrecting the mummy, figuratively and in bad CGI? Because the mummy hits that sweet spot between fear of death and fear of decay. It's not the monster's teeth or claws, it's the idea of time itself catching up to you. A body so old, it's outlived empires. A face staring back at you from 3,000 years ago that still looks human. And then there's the guilt, the colonial undertone of disturbing the dead, stealing artifacts, and then wondering why your hotel room in Cairo feels cursed. In pop culture, the mummy became a metaphor for everything buried and best left alone. Secrets, sins, civilizations. From horror flicks to Scooby-Doo, it's always the same story. We dig too deep, and something comes back with us. So, after all that, what is a mummy really? It's not just a dried up corpse. It's a time capsule, a biological love letter to immortality. Every fold of linen was a promise that life meant something. That memory, legacy, and faith could outlast flesh. And yeah, we've turned them into punchlines, Halloween decorations, and Brendan Fraser memes. But the truth is, mummification was humanity's first big middle finger to oblivion. So the next time you see a mummy movie, remember, they weren't trying to scare us. They were trying not to disappear. Thanks for watching Darker Things. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient vanity projects, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more wrapped up for you. And remember, death might be eternal, but so is the algorithm. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay out of any tubes labeled "Do Not Enter." See you in the next one.